Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be doing my final installment of my 2025 makeup collection and declutter series. We are going to be doing my eyeshadow palettes, mini palettes, and the larger palettes. Now this year I did not purchase a lot of palettes like I have done in the past, so this is going to be more of a collection. I'm not sure exactly how much I'm going to be getting rid of, but that is what we're going to be doing in this portion, so let's go ahead and jump right on in. Alright, so let me show you guys what I am working with before we jump into the actual showing you my collection and declutter portion of the video. We do have some palettes up here on the vanity. These are part of my December Shop My Stash. We have some palettes up here. These though are part of my archive, so if you guys would like to see my archive, just let me know. I have no problem showing you that full collection. This entire unit, these are all eyeshadow palettes. In the top drawer we have mini palettes, some random palettes here, and then bigger palettes throughout the rest of the drawers. This is a Nomad drawer. This stack of palettes, they came from these shelves over here, and then over here on my bookcase, this whole top shelf is eyeshadow palettes. We do have palettes that are in my archive. Once again, if you guys would like to see the full archive, just let me know down in the comments. I'll be more than happy to show you. All right, now let's jump into our collection and declutter portion of this video. So I was originally going to try to do this over the drawers like I did the highlighters and the blushes, but I realized it was just going to be way too complicated. So I'm actually sitting on the floor. Hopefully my legs and my knees won't give out on me and we can get through this. We're going to start with my mini palettes first. I have 17 altogether. Let's start with my Natasha Denona. I have 3 of their 5-pan palettes. Actually, this is a ColourPop. These are their 5-pan palettes. I got these in BoxyCharm boxes back when I was still getting BoxyCharm before it became Ipsy. Do they have names? This one is Jubilee. I think I'm going to declutter this one. I've kept all 3 mainly because of the fact that these are the only Natasha Denona palettes I have, but I don't need all 3. I'm going to declutter this one. These 2, however, I'm going to keep. We have Cupid. This is a really pretty neutral red, warm tone leaning red palette. Very pretty. And then this one I really love. This is Peak. I love these warm tone oranges and peaches. Just a really beautiful, just everyday palette, and this formula is really nice. I have 3 ColourPop. These are part of that Valentine's Day collection that came out, I don't even know how many years ago. These are the last ones that I've hung on to these. This one is the, what is this one called? This is the Smack Pressed Powder Palette. I'm going to go ahead and hang on to all 3 of these. These are really good for travel. We have Too Hot, a pretty pink. These 2 shades are really pretty. And then this is a really pretty everyday kind of a neutral leaning palette, Melt For You. So pretty. I have 3 Udin's Eye palettes. These are ones that I've hung onto as well. The Verdun D. I just love this packaging. I don't know if I'll ever give these up. Look at that. So pretty. Then we have the Alba 2 Mini Sky palette. And then this is the Alba 2 Mini Forest palette. Let's do some random ones here. We have Kiko Milano, and then we have Peanuts. Let's do the Kiko Milanos first, and then the Peanuts. I have hung on to these for so long. They're still some of my favorite palettes. This particular format has been my favorite from Kiko Milano. I haven't really liked anything that they've released lately. What do we have? Dolce Diva eyeshadow palette, Stylish Coral, and then the Festival Glow in Green Country. These are just really pretty quads. I love to grab these when I just want to throw something on in a pinch. Look at that. This shade right here is so pretty. We have some Peanuts and Profusion palettes. I think I'm going to declutter these 3, but I'm just going to put them in my archive because I don't want to, they're not palettes that I really want to use in my everyday makeup, that I want to pull from main collection, but I do like the packaging, so I am going to archive them. First, we have the Sweater Weather. This one really is pretty. Yes, I just don't think to reach for these. They're all quads, by the way. This one is the Happy Holidays 4-shade palette. And then this one is the 'Tis the Season. Like I said, I'm going to keep these 3, but I'm just going to put them in my archive. I have from Melt Cosmetics. This is my only Melt Cosmetics palette. It is the Bad Sign Water Zodiac Cancer, Scorpion, Pisces. The only reason why I got this one is because I'm a Pisces. I really do like this formula, though. It really is so pretty. And then I have 2 from Revolution. We have the Ultimate Desire. I got this, I think it's either a mystery box or advent calendar. I cannot remember, but it really is a pretty little 9-pan palette, so I'm going to hang on to this. And then this one, I love this one. This is the Inventing Room from the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This did come out of an advent calendar. Danger, keep out. Only authorized Oompa Loompas admit it. This is such a pretty warm tone, chocolatey, peachy tone palette. This palette is gorgeous and is perfect to pull out for travel. So out of my 17 mini palettes, I kept 13, decluttered 1, and then 3 of them are going into my archive. All right, let's move into these big pan palettes. I have 101 total. You know what, let's go ahead and continue with Profusion. I have 7 large pan palettes, but before we do that, I actually forgot that I have these 2 mini or singles. I have, this is from ColourPop. It is the Snitchery and ColourPop collection. The shade is in Lucid Dream. I just thought this would be a really pretty sparkly one for Halloween. I used to have a lot more Super Shock shadows, but I pretty much decluttered all of them. And this one is part of the Peanuts and Profusion collection. It doesn't have a shade name, but you guys, this is so pretty. It is the most gorgeous, creamy shadow. Look at that. So pretty. I have 4 10-pan palettes from Profusion. First, we have the Sapphires. This is a pretty 10-pan palette, but to be honest, it's definitely not a favorite, and I definitely don't think to pull this. These mattes in here are just, they're not favorites, so I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. And then we have the shimmers. I'm going to declutter this one as well. This is exactly what it says. It is an all shimmer palette, but I have shimmers in my other palettes that I love more. These shimmers are just very, very basic, and I just don't need it. Then we have Euphoria. This one I am going to keep. It's a really pretty black, blue, just very pretty, like holiday, smoky type of a palette. It's really pretty formula. The shimmers in this palette are absolutely stunning. This is a gorgeous kind of a shimmery black gray moment. Gorgeous palette. And then we have the rubies. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one as well. I have palettes with red shades and I like more. I don't really need this one. But as you can see, it's shades of orange and red and pinks. This shade right here just blends out to pink. So I don't see the point of having a red palette if if the shade's not actually going to blend out red. We have the Peanuts and Profusion Cosmetics Snoopy's Starlit Holiday 4-to-1 Shade Eye and Face Palette. This is eyeshadows and blushes. It's basically an entire face palette. In the middle, you have eyeshadows, and then over here, you have blushes, highlighters, blushes, and then bronzers. I don't really use this palette. I mainly just keep it for holiday background. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just archive this one and then just pull it out whenever the holidays come along and I can just use it as background decor. This one is a Casper the Friendly Ghost Hot Stuff. This was a Halloween collection. This is a really nice palette. I have only used this palette a few times. The shades that I have used, I have enjoyed, but honestly, it's just not one that I think to pull out. It's just not one. It's one that I know that I'm not really going to probably ever pull out in 2026, but I love this collaboration, so I'm going to keep this and put this in my archive. My last Profusion, this one is a full face and eye portfolio. I love this one. This was $25. On this side, we have correctors, we have water-activated liners, highlighters, blushers, and contours, or bronzers and contours, and highlighters and blushes down here. And then this side is all eyeshadow palettes. The formula in here is so good, and this is perfect to have, just to travel. I can just take this portfolio, throw this in my bag, and this has all of the makeup that I could ever need. I love this one. I have some random palettes. All of these, I only have one palette in each brand. So let's go through these really quickly before we jump into the palettes that I have multiple palettes or brands that I have multiple palettes in. All right, this one I'm going to declutter. This is an LA Girl palette. I have kept this because of the fact that I do love this color story. I love greens. I love oranges. There really are some really pretty shimmers in here, but as you can see, it's pretty rough. I have dropped this a couple of times. I've pressed the colors back in, but every single time that this gets moved around too much, they just crumble again. I have these shades in other palettes. There's no reason for me to keep on hanging on to this, so I'm going to go ahead and let this go. From Malibu Glitz, we have the Sherbet Dreams. I really do like this palette. I've kept it for this shade and this shade, Sherbet and Caramel. Both of them are so creamy, so smooth, buttery, so glitzy on the eye, very wet looking, very creamy. But I don't really use the rest of the palette. What I think I'm going to do, I need to see if the pans in this palette are metal, like if the little pans are made out of metal. If they are, I'm going to see if I can deep pan this shade and this shade. And then if I can, I'll put them in one of my magnetic palettes that I have some singles in. Like I said, I love these two shades, but the rest of the palette I just don't ever use anymore. I have one palette from Violet Voss. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. I have kept this one for a while because I really did like the color story. This is the Sunkissed Summer. It's kind of like a strawberry lemonade color story. This shade is the one that I have really kept this palette for, but to be honest, I have not pulled this out once in the last year, and I do have shades like this in a BH Cosmetics palette that I love more, so I'm going to go ahead and let this go. From Beauty Gems, what is this called? I don't think it actually has a name, but it's a really pretty neutral eyeshadow palette. I got this off of Ulta. It was $8. It is one of the prettiest, more neutral leaning palettes that I own. It's a very subtle palette. Like, this is not going to give you like a wham, bam, shimmery, glitzy, multi-chrome type of a look, but just for an everyday, warm, more natural kind of look. This palette is perfect, and like I said, it was only $8. From Sugar Pill, I have held on to this palette for so long, you guys, mainly because, first of all, what is this? This was one of their capsule palettes. It doesn't actually say, but it's the orange one. The shimmers in this palette, this one, this one, this one, and this one, you guys, they are absolutely stunning, but the mattes I just don't use. They just don't really do anything for me anymore. Once again, I'm going to see, like the other palette, the Malibu Glitz one, if I can remove these from the palette. If I can, I'm going to take this one, and this one, and that one, and see if I can put them into a magnetic pan. Or magnetic palette. We will just have to see how that goes. I have two more in this group. From More, we have the Time to Shine Celestial Series palette. I love this one. First of all, the box that it came in, I will forever keep it. Very pretty celestial shades. Also these are more like cool, neutral leaning. It's a very pretty palette. The Spice shade right here is gorgeous. I do wish it was a little bit slimmer. This little boxy packaging is annoying, but the palette itself is beautiful. I'm going to hang on to that. My last palette in this category, this is from Sydney Grace. It is the Tiny Marvels and Mel Thompson collaboration. Mel Thompson unfortunately passed away. Has it been 3 years? 3 or 4 years? It's been a while ago. She was such a wonderful person, greatly missed in the beauty community, but this was her baby. And you guys, this palette is gorgeous. Even after all this time, it is still beautiful. These shimmers are freaking incredible. These mattes blend like butter. I will not be getting rid of this. I have 3 palettes from Ace Beauté. We have the Mystic Romance, gorgeous pinky, purple, Valentine's Day kind of theme. And then we have the Tropical Vibes. I will be keeping all 3 of these palettes. I love the grunginess of the tones and the greens and the blues. This one is beautiful. And then we have the Oceanic palette. Blues, greens, gorgeous. I have 2 from Juvia's Place. I will be hanging on to both of these. The original Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette formula, I realized I just wasn't a fan of anymore, and I got rid of all those. But this is their newer formula, and you guys, this is so pretty. I want them to release some more palettes in this formula. First, we have the Candy Shop. This is the perfect pastel palette. Look at this. So beautiful. And then the Coffee Shop. This one is one of my favorite warm neutral palettes in my entire collection. You have some grungier tones in here, but these shimmers, this palette in general, it's just stunning. This is one of my favorite just everyday palettes. I have 2 from ABH, Anastasia Beverly Hills. We have the Mini Sultry palette. This is just a really pretty everyday cool tone leaning palette. And then this one is the Fall Romance. I keep this one in the original box because the palette is made of like this velvet material here. This color story, you guys, and formula, it is so pretty. Very celestial, very rich, very ethereal. This shade right here, so freaking gorgeous. The mattes, the shimmers, everything about this palette is beautiful. Let's do Udin's Eye next. I have 3 palettes. We have the Soul Mane. This one is so pretty. It's like a perfect spring to summer palette. Gorgeous. And then we have the Little Ghost. This is Angelica Nyquist, I think, collaboration. Beautiful. And then the Merry Christmas palette. I will be hanging on to all 3 of these. I have 2 from Cosmic Brushes. This is my first time trying this particular brand this year, and I love both of these palettes. Here is my dilemma. The shipping for this brand, I think they're from the UK, if I remember correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But the shipping for both these palettes, I did order both of them at the same time. It was $17. Considering the fact that I can go like in ColourPop and buy a palette there or get 2 palettes on sale or something for that same price, it makes it very difficult for me to want to try the brand further. I'm the kind of person that if I can find a way to not pay for shipping, I will. But the formula in both these palettes was so stunning, guys. This is the Lovers. I think this was their Valentine's Day going into spring. This formula is just absolutely stunning. The Undergrowth palette, this one is my favorite of the two. This one actually came out in 2024, either early 2025 or late 2024, but it's one that I've been eyeing and decided to pick it up to try. Gorgeous grungy greens. We have cool tone greens, warm tone greens. These shimmers, you guys, are freaking incredible. As much as I hate having to pay for the shipping, I think going into 2026, I am going to try more from this brand because it's gorgeous. I mean, the formula it's worth it. I have 3 palettes from Tarte. First, we have the Tarte Lip palette. This is a gorgeous everyday spring palette. Beautiful warm tones, kind of neutral leaning in here. For the springtime, just for an everyday, quick little natural, everyday kind of a look. This palette is perfect and it still smells like cookies. Then we have my 2 Man-Eater palettes. I was hoping that Tarte would launch some more palettes in this particular line, but they didn't. I think these are the only 2 ones that they've launched as far as the big palettes. This one is the Nightfall. You know, I'm actually not sure. So we have the After Dark and we have the Nightfall. To be honest, I haven't really pulled either. I think I pulled this one once over the last year, but between the 2 of these, I really like the After Dark. The Nightfall, I wasn't super impressed with, so I think I'm going to declutter the Nightfall, but I'm going to keep the After Dark. All right, moving right along, we're going to do Glamlite next. You guys, my legs are like, oh, I have them stretched out like on either side of me right now while I'm filming this. Ooh. I am definitely not 25 anymore. I may have to get up very often throughout this and just stretch, maybe take little breaks and stuff, because we are like not even halfway through. Lord. All right, we have the Ice Cream Dreams palette. You guys, this is one of my favorite palettes ever. Look at this color story. These pastels are so pretty. They're ones that actually show up on my skin tone. I believe that if you had a deeper skin tone, they would look really pretty too. Unfortunately, I don't think this palette is available anymore, but it's still a favorite. These shimmers like lemon and birthday cake, strawberry, they are so freaking pretty. This is probably one of my favorite yellow gold tone leaning shimmers in my entire collection. This palette is stunning. And then we have the 2 from the Glamlite Twilight collection. We have Edward's palette, and then we have Jacob's. I love the collector's box that these come in. First we have Edward's. It says, no measure of time with you will be long enough, but let's start with forever. I'm a huge Twilight fan. Let me just put that out there. Both of these palettes have these shifty holographic covers. This is such a pretty color story. I will admit I am Team Team Jacob, always have been, but this palette, starting these shimmers, Century, Sparkle, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. And then we have Jacob's. These are also from the Breaking Dawn movie. I noticed that, okay, this year was the 20th anniversary of the release of the books, if I'm correct, and so with ColourPop and Twilight, or Glamlite rather, launched Twilight collaborations. I don't know if any other brand did, but they picked specific movies. I know ColourPop did Twilight and they did New Moon, and then Glamlite, this is specifically from the Breaking Dawn movie. Team Jacob, he is my favorite. This one is more leaning neutral to cool toned. I would have preferred a more warm toned palette since Jacob, is a wolf. I feel like would have matched his fur better, but this color story, this formula is really pretty. Of the 2, even though I am Team Jacob, of the 2 palettes, I think my favorite is the Edward palette. I think the formula in the Edward palette is the better of the 2, but I love them both. Let's do my 2 Sephora Pro Pigment palettes next. I had a friend that gave me this big box of makeup and skincare and other stuff from Sephora, and these 2 palettes were in that box. I don't recall ever seeing these in store, but it may have been that these were discontinued by the time these came to me. But they have these little cards, and they give you ideas for different looks, and then they tell you like which shade is being used in a look. I think it's very creative, especially if you're somebody that's like a newcomer to makeup, and these palettes are beautiful. This one is the Smoky Jewels. Gorgeous greens and purples. I love both these palettes. And then this one is the New Nudes. This one also has one of those little cards that gives you ideas for different looks. I love the array of tones in here. You have oranges, you have peaches, you have pinks, you have browns, and the formula in both these palettes is really pretty. Let's do BH Cosmetics next, and then I think I'm going to step away for a minute. Just gonna take a break, stretch out my legs, stretch out my back. Like I said, I ain't 25 anymore. BH Cosmetics, as far as a brand, I'm not sure they still exist. I know that Revolution bought the brand, and you can still find some of the products on the Revolution website, but I don't know if BH Cosmetics within itself still makes any products. I haven't seen new ones in a while, but all these palettes I love and I will be keeping. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get rid of any of these. We have the Los Angeles Sunset. This is so pretty. This is another really pretty pastel-y palette. The formula in here is gorgeous. I love these shimmers, the mattes, stunning. And then this was the palette that I said that I was keeping instead of the Violet Voss. You'll see that the color story is very similar. As you can see, both of these are that strawberry lemonade formula, but I'm going to be more inclined to gravitate to this one than this one. So that's the reason why I'm keeping this one instead. This right here, very, very similar to that lemon shade in the Glamlite palette. It's just really pretty. Then we have the Nude Eagle. This is part of this is the Nude Eagle Power Play 25 color palette. Neutral, more cool tone leaning, everyday shades. So pretty. And then we have the Sweet Shop. Now, this collection, unfortunately, has been discontinued. It was discontinued a few years ago, but I still love these palettes. I'm actually wondering, I'm thinking about maybe pulling them out of my main collection and putting them in my archive. Because I have not really been using them, but I still do love them. We have the Cherry on Top, Orange Sorbet, and then we have the Pistachio. This one is really pretty. What do I want to do? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and keep these in my main collection for now, but once I get my new beauty space set up, I may go ahead and archive these. We'll just have to see. The last palette that I have from BH Cosmetics, this is the Naughty palette. This was part of a holiday collection that came out 4 or 5 years ago. It has been a while, but it is still a favorite. This is probably still my favorite BH Cosmetics palette I've ever owned. As you can see, it looks like an ugly sweater. This year, I was keeping this one in my background as part of my holiday decor. You may have noticed. These two shimmers here, Candied Fruit and Spicy, are my absolute favorites in this palette. I also like Very Merry and Jingle Bells. This formula is so buttery, so smooth. The shimmers are so shiny and wet looking. And you know what? Even after all this time, this palette still performs. Alright, so we are back. I did take a little bit of a break to go stretch, and then I had a snack. So let's move right along. Let's move into ColourPop. I have a pretty big number of ColourPop palettes. Let's do the large pans first, or the large palettes first. First, we have the It's a Mood. These are the 30 pan palettes, by the way. I really like the variety of shades in here. I don't ever use this one, which is a glitter, but the rest of the palette is really pretty. And then we have your Golden. Nice variety of warm tone shades. It's really pretty in the summertime. We have Smoking Hot. I will be keeping all 4 of these. And then Stone Cold Fox. This is my favorite everyday cool tone palette. I love to pull this out in the cooler wintry months. It's a perfect cool tone palette. This is the palette that actually helped to introduce me to cool tones. I used to wear more warm neutrals because I didn't think the cool tones would look good on me, but then I picked this palette up and I love it. I have 3 of kind of the medium palettes, and then the rest of them are a 9 pan. We have the Twilight Saga New Moon, like I was talking about some of the brands doing collaborations with Twilight this year. ColourPop focused on the Twilight palette, which I didn't pick up, but that one just didn't really appeal to me, even though I love Twilight. And then we have the New Moon. This one I loved. I love the artwork in here. This is actually from the movie poster for New Moon. This color story is perfect. Lots of puppy brown tones in here, warm golds, warm yellows. To me, this is the perfect Jacob palette, because this palette is leaning more towards Jacob. And then we have Limoncello. I have kept this palette for so long because it really is the perfect summery palette. These warm golden tones in this palette. The pop of blue I think is really unnecessary, but this palette still performs. I love it in the summertime. And then we have Lust for Dusk. This one I think I'm going to clutter. I kept it for a while because I did like using it in the springtime. As you can see, Quiet Storm, I have used the heck out of that shade, but it's just not one of my favorite palettes anymore. I'm looking forward to trying new formulas and new color stories in 2026, so I think it's time to go ahead and let this one go. We have 12 of the 9 pan palettes. Let's do the monochromatic palettes first. Actually, you know what? It doesn't matter. Start with this stack first. We have Wild Child. This one has been a long time favorite. It's a perfect, deeper, richer, warm tone neutral palette. This palette would be gorgeous on somebody with a deeper skin tone. We have Just My Luck. I had decluttered this palette before, but then I got a new one, as you can see. I think in a mystery box, so I haven't actually even touched this one. I got rid of the other one because it was so old, but I did love the color story, so I was glad to get a new one. Mary Jane is just beautiful. And then we have Blow and Smoke. I keep this one because it's literally the only palette I have that's a black, gray, silvery color story. And then we have Blue Moon. Actually, let's do Blue Moon, and then we'll do On Cloud 9, or On Cloud Blue rather. These two are really pretty companion palettes to me. This was part of their original monochromatic collection, and this one came out, I think, earlier this year. But I love both. We have Baby Got Peach. This is a really pretty peachy everyday palette, but you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter it. I've kept this one because I really do like the peachy tones in it, but I haven't pulled this once this year, and I do have peachy tones in other palettes that I'm going to be more likely to lean towards, so I do think it's time to go ahead and let this one go, and I've had this one for so long. We have my 3 Star Wars palettes. I do have other ones, but those I put away in my archive. We have The Mandalorian. I feel like this is just a perfect grungy, kind of a steel toned palette. This shade in the middle, Clan of Two, is just gorgeous. This palette is one of my favorites in my entire collection. I just love the characters and this color story. Even if I wasn't a Star Wars fan, I would still get this palette. This is such a beautiful warm tone green palette. This shade right here, Right Hand Mando, is so freaking beautiful. This entire palette is gorgeous. And then we have, this one is the C-3PO palette, and I'm actually going to show you guys. So this palette came out first. This is the Little Ray of Sunshine. It actually came out around the same time as the Big Poppy. As you can see, it is a perfect warm toned yellow, little mustardy yellows, just gorgeous. And then this one is the C-3PO. If you notice, the color stories in both these palettes are pretty much the same. It was like they took the Little Ray of Sunshine and then just added mattes to it in order to turn this into the C-3PO palette. But as you can see, the color stories are very, very similar, which makes them really good companion palettes, so I will keep both. And then my last 2 ColourPop, we have the Big Poppy. Beautiful, warm, orangey tones. And then we have the High Tide. This has been a favorite in my collection. It's beautiful teals and aquamarines. It's just a gorgeous color story. Me being a Pisces, I love anything water themed. Moving into my Beauty Bay palettes, I have 7 9-pan palettes, very similar to the one from ColourPop, the Big Poppy. And in fact, I think between these 2 palettes, I am more inclined to pull the Big Poppy. I like this one because it had a red, but this red really blends out more into like a pink or a coral. It doesn't stay red. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. We have our 24-pan palettes, the Love Notes. Perfect, just romantic Valentine's Day going into spring palette. We have the Botanicals, very pretty. The Wilderness has been a favorite. These rich emeraldy greens in warm tones, kind of cool going into the warm. We have the Reckless Romance. This is more of a deeper, richer Valentine's kind of going into spring palette. Age of Opulence. This one I consider to be more of a holiday palette. I really like to pull this one out during the holiday season, in the summertime, in December during the holidays. I also like to pull this one out during Halloween, and just any other time I just want that rich, vibrant look. Still a favorite. And then of all of my Beauty Bay palettes, this one is still my favorite. This is the Earthy. I love greens. Green is my favorite eyeshadow palette shade to work with. So this palette right here basically has pretty much every tone of green that you could imagine. There's warm tones, cool tones, more teal, gray leaning tone greens. And then on the bottom, you also have this little warm section that has oranges and reds. It is a beautiful palette and I love it. Let's do Blend Bunny next, and then we'll do Revolution and then end with Nomad because Nomad is the brand that I have the most palettes from. First, we have the Noctiluce. Now, this is actually a highlighter palette, but I use it as an eyeshadow palette. I find that these shades work better as like eyeshadow toppers, shimmer toppers. They're shifty. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on camera, but these are duochromes. They're so pretty. We have the blends. This has been my favorite rainbow palette. That being said, should I get another rainbow palette going in 2026 that I love more, I will go ahead and let this one go. This is one that I tend to honestly forget about. I don't have it with the rest of my palettes. I kind of keep it displayed, and sometimes I'll put it on the vanity if I'm trying to remember to use it, but for the most part, I tend to forget about it. I love the formula, but like I said, should I get another rainbow palette that I enjoy more going in 2026, and I will probably let this one go. We have the All Done It palette, one of my absolute favorite warm tone palettes. This palette is perfect in the fall, also going into the summertime. It's just the perfect neutral, warm leaning palette. We have the Blend Bunny. This is the Primal. This one is very similar to the blends. This one has shimmers in it, though, and some more pastel shades that are not in this one. And then you have the white and the black. I'm going to go ahead and hang on to both of them for now. The Sugar and the Grunge. This is a really pretty pastel spring palette. You have deeper shades. You have more pastel shades. The shimmers are really, really pretty. We have the Lure palette. I really love the color story in this one. I think this is the perfect ethereal mermaid water fairy tale kind of a color story with these purples and these greens and these blues. I need to pull this one out more. In fact, I may go ahead and pull this one out into my current shop, my stash. This column right here is calling my name. And then we have the Dollhouse, and this is another really pretty, cool, neutral palette. You have darker tones going into lighter tones. The shimmers in this palette are stunning. I have 4 palettes from Revolution, and then we will move into my Nomad palettes. I have so many of those. We have 2 of their, what is these? I don't know what you call these, but these are 12-pan palettes. These are the ones that have 2 creams in them. I honestly do not like the creams. This one is the Muse, the Muse Icon. Actually, yeah, these are Icon palettes, and this one is the Smoky. With both of these palettes, you have 2 creams. Are they covered? Yeah, they have a little piece of plastic that covers them, but I do not like the cream formula. I just feel like they're a waste of space. I would have rather they've been mattes. I like the Muse Icon, but the smoky one, I got it because I wanted more cool tone palettes in my collection. This one, I just don't like the formula that much. Like this shade right here, I just don't think that's great, but I love the Muse one. I feel like it's very celestial, very ethereal. I'm going to hang on to this one, but I am going to declutter this one. Then we have, what is this called? The Forever Flawless. I got this as a free gifted purchase. I love the fact that it just kind of reminds me of Bridgerton. And it's such a very pretty, soft, romantic color story. Warm tones, more neutral tones. These 2 shades here are stunning. It really is a pretty palette. And then we have the Kombucha. I have had this one, I don't know how many years. I love orange tones, warm orange going into peachy tones. And so that's the reason why I picked this palette up. And even though I've had it for who knows how long, it still performs. I love these orangey blushes in here. This brick red here is gorgeous. You have a nice array of yellows going into deeper oranges. There's some pinks in here. You have a black. This is still a beautiful palette. Moving into my last group. We are now going to do my Nomad palettes. I have 24 altogether. As many of you know, I am on Nomad's PR list, which is the reason why I have so many of the palettes, but I love the brown so much that I would probably still buy the palettes anyway. I'm not sure if I'm going to be on the PR list for 2026. Whether or not I am, I still love the brand and I will still purchase the palettes. Let's start with their larger 18 pan palettes. First, we have America's Route 66. This is one of the newer palettes for this year. I love the artwork on this packaging. This is a really pretty color story. I do love the shimmers in the middle. I have been enjoying this one. We have the Pacific Northwest. This one is one of my favorites. First of all, the cover of the palette feels like a canvas artwork. They released a mug and a beanie with this collection. I bought the mug and the beanie. The mug I got for myself, the beanie I got for my son. My son loves earth tones, greens, blues, taupes, browns, and he has loved that beanie. It keeps in his backpack, and that's like become his winter cap. You can see this is such a beautiful, warm, kind of a nature-themed color story. This shade right here, Ecotopia, is so beautiful. I love this palette. We have Ghost Town USA, and then we have 3 of their Halloween palettes. All 3 of these have the holographic cover. First, we have Haunted Europe. This is one of my favorite color stories. I love this. Rich green, pumpkin oranges. This one is new this year. This one just came out this Halloween. The Witch City Salem. They launched those lipsticks for this collection. Look at this one. Perfect Halloween color story. This one kind of gives me Hocus Pocus vibes with the purples and the greens. It is beautiful. Then we have Ghost Town USA. I think this one came out first, and this one was last year, if I'm not mistaken. Another holographic cover. This one is more of a neutral, leaning into cool tone color story, but beautiful. We have the Chamonix Après Ski. I believe I'm saying that right. Ski Lodge theme on the front. I really love the tones in this. I think it's a really pretty wintry, kind of going into spring color story. The Fairy Tale Europe. The theming for this one is old traditional European fairy tale, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, things like that. This one is mainly a shimmer palette with these neutrals across the bottom. I do think the fact that they chose to do the neutrals on the bottom with these really colorful shimmers, I do think that was kind of a weird choice, but I really overall like the theming of this palette. Let me see. Let me swatch a couple of these shimmers just to think. Do I want to keep it in my main collection or archive it? Let's see. You know what? These shimmers are okay, but they're not really favorites in my collection. I do have other shimmers from Nomad that I really, really like. I'm going to keep this, but I'm going to put this in my archive because I just really, really like this packaging. Who knows? I may display this in my background when I get my beauty space set up. We have the Keys Beachy and Peachy, themed after the Florida Keys. Very bright, rich, neon-y tones. It's a very pretty palette. This one is a favorite. I love this one. This is the Ireland Wild Atlantic. It's obviously themed after Ireland. It's so beautiful. And you have your velvety cover and this color story. Greens, golds, so freaking pretty. We have 2 more palettes. This one is the Bosque Nubos de Monteverde. I do love the, what is that? Not a lemur, sloth on the front. This is a very bright, super neon-y color story. While I love the theming, I just know I am never going to pull this. These colors are just not ones, especially in this particular configuration, that I'm going to reach for. So I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. My last 18 pan palette. This was the Love and Death. I think this was themed after Romeo and Juliet. I'm not sure. What I love about this one though is that it's tri-fold. So there's mirrors on either side here. And then you have the love side and the death side. Now, I will be honest, as far as Nomad, their formula is concerned, the mattes in here, shimmers as well, are not some of my favorites, but I really do love the theming of this palette. I think I'm going to keep it for the packaging and put this in my archive, and then maybe during Valentine's Day, I'll just pull it out for background art. Our final group of Nomad palettes and the last palettes in my collection and declutter. These are 12-pan palettes, I believe, or 15-pan palettes, 15-pan palettes. I have 12 or 13. First this is the Christkindlmarkt. I believe that's how you say that. This was their Christmas release for this year. The box that this slides into, and I still have it, I kept it, has these little windows because it's kind of an advent calendar theming. I think this is the perfect traditional Christmas themed color story. It is so pretty. I've used this one a lot during this holiday season. We have the New Zealand Stargazing. I believe their duo and multichromes in here are so freaking pretty, and these mattes are so beautiful. We have the Nomad Royal Europe. As you can see it, this is kind of raised. Cutouts here on the cover. This is a very rich, royal, jewel themed is the word I'm looking for. Jewel themed kind of a color story. These multichromes and duochromes down here are beautiful. I will definitely be hanging on to this palette. We have another holiday launch. I think this is last year's holiday launch. This is the Polar Express. I keep it in the box because of the cutout on the front. But this is the cover. And this is a really pretty wintry, Christmassy theme. Very wintry tones over here, more neutrals over here. They're like hot chocolatey kind of theme. I think this is really pretty. Next we have, this is the Whistler Snow Lodge. I think this is the perfect wintry going into spring and summer. Just this beautiful mixture of tones. This shade right here, Black Comb, I think this shade is. This is the perfect deep, rich, wintry tone. I love it. This palette, you guys, this is one of the first palettes I ever got from Nomad before I was on their PR list when I was purchasing the palettes. This is the Tokyo Harajuku, and I still love it, but I think it's time to declutter it. I'm not going to get rid of it. This has been one of my favorites from the brand from the beginning. It's a pastel leaning palette. Look at that. I still love these shimmers. What I'm going to do is archive this. Like I said, it holds a lot of memories, and I just really love the whole theme. This packaging is just beautiful. So we're going to archive this one. We have the Fire and Ice. This is the, I think, Iceland themed palette. I did love this palette when I first got it, but honestly, it's one that I just don't ever think to reach for anymore. The mattes and shimmers in here, they're just not favorites. I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. Two of these, this one and this one. This year was Nomad's 10-year anniversary, so they re-released three of their previous palettes. I think they were some of their first launches that they re-released, or they just picked some of the favorite palettes that they re-released. The Berlin Underground, what is this one? The Fêtes de Provence. I did not own either one of these previously, and then the America's Parks. I did declutter the original America's Parks, and then I got the replacement, which is part of the 10-year anniversary. That one is in my giveaway because for me personally, it's not one of my favorite color stories, so I didn't want to swatch that one at all, knowing that I was not going to keep it, but I did keep these two. So we have the Fêtes de Provence. This is a really pretty pinky purple color story. Look at this. This side gives me that raspberry lemonade kind of theming. I think this is so beautiful. And then the Berlin Underground. What I love about this one, you have these coin kind of themed with the shimmers, and that's exactly what they remind me of. They remind me of coins, and they're so freaking beautiful. Every single one of the shimmers in this palette. That's my favorite part about this palette are the shimmers. We have the Chicago Speakeasy. I keep this one in the original box because the palette is velvet. Look at this. Isn't that cool? And this one, as far as the tones, remind me a lot of the formula, especially from the Berlin Underground. Look at this. These shimmers are so freaking beautiful. This is such a gorgeous palette. We have the Cartagena Mexica palette. This is one of the very first palettes that I ever got when I first started using Nomad. This one I know has been discontinued. Same thing with the Tokyo Harajuku. I love this palette because of the oranges and the pinky tones in this, but this palette is so old. And unlike the Tokyo Harajuku, which I'm keeping because I do want to archive it, this one I just don't really ever pull anymore. And like I said, the formula is just really old. As much as I have loved this one, as much as I have adored these oranges in this palette, I think it is finally time to let this one go. I have 2 more Nomad palettes and 2 more palettes in my collection and declutter. Whew, my legs, you guys. Ooh. This one is the Mount Fiji. Well, I'm throwing my palette. Fuji 5 Lakes. This one, similar to the Pacific Northwest. That beautiful canvas art feeling. And this is so freaking beautiful. Even if I didn't like the formula of this palette, which I do, I would keep this one just for background art because it is stunning. I'd probably put it in the background with my orchids. Reds, pinks, yellows. It's so freaking beautiful. The formula in here is gorgeous. I just love everything about this palette. My last Nomad, and this has been one of my favorites in my entire collection, is the Hudson Valley. This to me is the perfect warm tone fall themed palette. You have your warm greens, you have your oranges, you have your yellows and your reds. I pull this one out so often during the fall season. It's just so perfect. Whew, we have done it. That is all of the palettes in my collection. Let me do a final count and I'll be right back to give you that final number. All right, for my final count, out of my 101 larger pan palettes, I'm keeping 82. I'm decluttering 13. 5 are going to go in my archive, and then I have the 2, the Sugar Pill and the Malibu Glitz. I'm going to try to depan a couple of the shades and see if I can just save those and then declutter the rest of the palette. That is going to be it for my eyeshadow palette and declutter, you guys. This was such a big one. I didn't realize how many palettes I still had. I still have a pretty decent amount of palettes, but going to 2026, you guys, we're going to hit the ball running. I am so excited to try new palettes, new formulas, new color stories. I'm super excited about what's coming up in the new year. If you enjoyed this collection and declutter, if you enjoyed the entire declutter series, please try to give the video a thumbs up. It really does help with getting my videos into recommendations. The more you guys respond, the more you guys react to comments, the more you guys comment, put like, dislike, whatever, the more interactions that the videos receive, the more likely that they're going to be pushed to the algorithm, the more people are going to be able to see my content. Be safe, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.